Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Big on the Inside the New Who Doctor Who Watch On podcast. I'm very excited to introduce to you a new interview episode. It's been a while since we've done one of these. This is the newest Doctor Who cast member we have ever spoken to, and I was so excited. I am, of course, talking about Jonny Mathers. If you've been watching Doctor Who Flux, then of course you saw Jonny as Passenger. In the next half an hour or so, we talk about everything Doctor Who Flux. We talk about filming during the pandemic, working with Mandip and Jodie, the response from fans, the costume, and even a little bit of Star Wars right at the beginning.
I'm the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous.
I hope the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time.
You might be a doctor, but I am.
I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you expect. Absolutely fantastic.
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
Okay, so before we talk about Doctor Who, I was having a look online, and when I Google your name, surprisingly, Doctor Who isn't one of the first things that comes up. It's Chewbacca. Can we talk a little bit about the hunt to be Chewbacca? What was that like?
We can. So it started as there was an advert on the radio that they were looking for a 7'3" person to be in a film that they guessed was the next Star Wars. And my mum and dad phoned me up and were like, "You should go for that." And I was like, "Don't be daft. That's just silly." If what if it's Chewbacca? Well, it might be Chewbacca, but it probably is Chewbacca. You know, Peter Mayhew was getting into his 70s at the time, so it was like, you know. And I was sat on the sofa talking to mum and dad, and then I put the phone down. My wife was like, "What's that all about?" I went, "Oh well, they were talking about me auditioning for this potential Chewbacca role." So then Beth started looking it up, and then the next thing you know, I've got this invite to get Jonny into Star Wars Episode 7 fan page been made by the wife, and we sort of sat there, and like after like I don't know about an hour or so, it had clocked up like over 100 followers, and we were like, "Oh, that was quick." And then the next morning, it was like over 1,000, and then the Metro phoned us up and they wanted to do a story. And then that led on to like, you know, BBC News picking it up and they wanted a story. So I was like on BBC Radio, and then it just kind of started snowballing, but not like big, but just it was starting to gather and gather. Local papers. The local paper where my mum and dad live, they turned up on doorstep saying, you know, "Is your son trying to be the next Chewbacca?" And then so then I was like, maybe this could be a thing. So people are starting to tweet it, and people are starting to put it on Facebook and Instagram and God knows what else. I thought let's try and find out properly. So then I had an old friend, like old friend from like primary school friend, message me, and he's kind of in the biz, and he was like, "Do you want me to get you the email address of the casting director?" I was like, "Yes, do that. That'll be ace. Thank you very much." So I'd emailed the casting director, and then I'd had an email back, and there was a little bit of emailing going on, and it hadn't turned into a thing, but there was an interest. You know? And that was all cool, and it was just kind of building. And I got this phone call from a local radio station, and they were like, "We want to know more about you playing the role of Chewbacca." I went, "Oh, I'm not playing Chewbacca. I'm trying to get the role of Chewbacca." I said, "It's all kind of rolling at the moment, you know, just kind of leave it. But, you know, I'm happy to talk to you if you want." "Okay, well, we'll arrange something for another day." I said, "That's fine." And then they phoned back like 2 days later and literally had a go at me on the phone going, "You lied. You told us you had the role." I said, No, I never said I had the role. You kept saying I had the role. Well, we've checked now, and Lucasfilm are saying they don't know anything about you. I was like, "What do you mean you've checked with Lucasfilm?" And they're like, "We've been phoning Lucasfilm. We've been phoning these people. We've been phoning that." And I was like, "Oh no, this is bad." And the next day I got an email from the casting director's office saying that they were no longer interested in me for the part.
Oh wow!
And
so that was
like,
a quick turnaround.
So that was a bit of a kicker. Whether it was anything to do with that radio station's heavy involvement on trying to find that information, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just kind of went. and that was it really. But I mean, it got me facing the papers and on the
Yeah.
radio, and I think I had like 2 weeks of just bombarded with interviews and papers, and funnily enough, way more than the Doctor Who stuff.
Oh, wow, okay.
Maybe it's just because it's Star Wars, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But like, podcasts, and apparently I was on a TV show in America. There was like a bit of a picture of my face popped up on a screen, and they were talking about me, and I was like, I never saw that. But I mean, but I met quite a lot of really nice people through that, and people now that are really behind what I'm doing with Who. So that's been kind of a bonus.
Yeah. I know we spoke a little bit.
Not exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. I know we spoke a little bit a moment ago, just before we hit record, about like the interaction with fans and stuff like that. And like, it seems strange that like you would have thought, I understand like they want to keep the secrecy and stuff, but like publicity is publicity, isn't it? And like a little bit of fun, like local publicity and stuff like that. I think,
so now my experience with Doctor Who, my understanding of how it all works is a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think that whole thing about knowing what part you are and knowing what you're going to be is huge. And Whovians are some of the best for digging the dirt, I've noticed over the last couple of weeks. Whovians are good at scratching in there and getting the detail out. And it was like, you can't really talk about this stuff because they don't want anything to leak. The smallest thing could spoil something bigger. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the same with like Star Wars or any big production. It's like if one thing gets out, so the concept that the 7-foot guy from Western-super-Mare is going to be the next Chewbacca might have just been a bit too much, because it's a bit too noticeable when I disappear. Oh, he's not in town this week.
Right. Okay. I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, whereas like with the Doctor Who stuff, there was 2 bonuses to that. One, we're in the middle of a major pandemic, so no one was going outside anywhere. And 2, it was very clear from like early days, you don't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
Because, when it went from being a walk-on part to you're now a named role, that changed the ball quite a bit. And then all the legal paperwork turns up, like we're going to cut off your hands and boil you in a vat of oil and stuff if you let anything loose. Yeah. So it was, now I understand that's better. I think, publicity is publicity, and that's all great. But I think what they always try and do is keep stuff under wraps for really good reasons, And like I just said, Whovians are really good at scratching away at things to get the detail out. And there's been theories all over the spot over the last couple of months about what this series was all about. I mean, I didn't even know it was called Flux, and I'm in it.
Yeah.
So, they kept everything really tight because people were coming up with all these theories about, am I a Mega? Am I the Black Shadow, whatever it was? Is this coming back? Oh, is the Master in it? It was just bombarding. Who were these 2 weird-looking aliens with crystals sticking out of their head? It was all like people coming up with all these theories, and it was like, and that's really cool. That really generates a lot of buzz for when the series comes out. But luckily, not too many secrets actually got out. A couple of little ones I noticed. Or some people were very close. I mean, really close. So I quite enjoyed watching the YouTube videos. It was cool.
I was gonna say, I think when they filmed with the Sontarans and the Weeping Angels, there was a few photos that appeared online, and we spoke about them on the show because we sort of knew what those characters were going to be. But I remember seeing an image of Passenger in Liverpool at the bottom of the stairs, and John Bishop and I can't remember the name who plays Diana sat on the stairs.
Nadia.
Yeah, and I remember looking at it going, what the hell's going on here? And like, obviously, like people originally going, it's like the Doctor Who version of Thanos. But I remember like we just didn't talk about it because we had no idea what was going on.
I had all sorts of comments on Twitter when those pictures weren't live, and it was literally like I walked out on set without the costume on and did a rehearsal. None of the Whovians that were there who were taking photographs played a blind bit of nerve to me. I really do think they thought I was a security guard. I think the security guards thought I was a security guard. And then when I went back in and got the costume and I walked out, I could just hear it was almost like I walked out of this like gazebo tent they dressed me in. And I walked out and just suddenly I just heard this.
Yeah.
And then lots and lots of like fumbling, and then flashes were going like this.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, they're taking photographs. So I just got in position and I did my bit, and then that was it. And it was literally like 10 minutes later, I'd taken the mask off, and I went to have a coffee, and one on the crew were like, "You're on Twitter already. You've got to see the comments." And it was like, "What's this? He's enormous." Like, the Thanos and Darkseid's love child.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some slightly ruder stuff on there as well, and it was like, okay. But yeah, it generated pretty good buzz. I mean, that Liverpool shoot was a bit of a leak. Like, once people saw me, they knew something new was coming.
Yeah.
Until that point, it'd been obvious, but yeah. So sometimes I wonder if they did that on purpose, because they didn't try and cover me up. You know what I mean, there's no like putting screens up for it, so they couldn't see me. It's like, we'll just stick him out there.
Yeah.
Once they got a photograph of him, they'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
But I can tell you a little secret about that shoot.
Go for it.
And you're gonna love this. I was sat after I'd done that. I'd done the first bit, and I'd walked back. I waited for like nearly 4 hours from the first shot I did until the last shot. So my final bit of shooting was like nearly at midnight at night.
Okay.
And I was sat on this wall having a coffee, and this person just appeared next to me and started talking, but they had a bobble hat on, a big coat, and a mask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it was Mandip.
Oh.
I was like, I didn't even recognise you. She went, "I'm not really meant to be here." She went, "But I was bored, so I thought I'd come down and say hello." And it's like, oh, okay. But all the people in the crowd were like looking for Jodie or Mandip.
Yeah.
And she was literally sat on the wall right next to me, and no one knew she was there. And I just thought it was brilliant. So it was just a bit of a joke between us that Mandip sat there, and they were all looking for her, and she was right here.
Was there a lot of attention then from fans when filming? Like, how is that? Because I imagine it's probably quite intimidating at some points, because you know that they're fans. It's, if you put a TARDIS up or an alien, people are going to work out quite quickly what you're filming.
And they're fans, because some people were in full on cosplay. I mean, full on, like, I saw quite a lot of scarves. I saw one guy who was in an absolutely like Stitch perfect Jodie costume. I mean,
wow,
amazing,
yeah,
absolutely amazing. But I arrived in this car, and obviously it's an open set. It's in the middle of the street. It's not like it was closed off.
Mm.
And it was just like, there was loads of them. There was just loads of people everywhere. They were on the walls. They were sat on them. On the other bit, they were sat on the floor. They were standing around. I was like, "Oh my God, they're everywhere. Where are we filming at?" And they went, "Oh, we're filming right there." And it was like, and until we actually started filming, everyone was just kind of left there. It was when we started filming that they moved them back and put a barrier up. It's not like you want them to go away, but you need them to be out of the way enough that it doesn't affect the shot. But then on like other sets, someone must have heard something, because we did a shoot. I think it's in episode 5 where Swarm and Azure, where all the refugees are, and they suck them all into those energy matrices. Yeah, that was filmed in an abbey up in Wales somewhere.
Yeah, okay,
and, someone must have leaked something, because when we got out of the cars, there was just like about 10 people there, just like waiting with cameras, just like absolutely, and it was like, "Hello." So we have to go and get in behind all the screens and stuff, and then we were trying to do a rehearsal, and we're sort of looking through the abbey window, which is like a ruin, and there's just like someone there trying to like get a camera up like this, and it's like, just move back so we can't get pictures of Sam and Machenda. So not intrusive, but there's quite a few fans around.
Yeah,
and that's kind of cool.
What was your history with the show beforehand? Was you a fan? Are you a fan of Doctor Who before you watched it, or is it one of these things that you've sort of learned about since joining it?
I liked Doctor Who when I was a kid. Yeah, and I said this previously on other things. Like, when I was a kid, it was like Peter Davison and Colin Baker. Never identified with them. All the stuff I used to watch was all the Tom Baker reruns. I had a load of Tom Baker ones on VHS, and they were the ones I kind of identified with. He's Doctor Who in my head. That's my kid's Doctor Who. And Pyramids from Mars is like my favorite story out of the lot. But I kind of watched a bit of the Sylvester McCoy stuff. I watched the reboot, when that started. I almost ruined an entire shot of the reboot as well, because I was working the door in Cardiff at that time, and I hadn't noticed they blocked off the roads. So I went down a side alley and ended up walking in front of the shopping centre that they were pretending was a tube surrounded by autons eating my chips.
Oh,
at
right, so
like
the
4
very
in the
first
morning.
episode.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, get off the set. I was like, what? Oh, hello. Right, I better move. So I watched that, and that was kind of cool. But then I just kind of fell off the wagon with it a bit. And then when Jodie came in, I was interested. I thought, I've got to watch this. And watched a couple, and it was like, okay. When I got the part, it was like, I really need to get up to speed now. At least get up to speed what Jodie's doctor's been up to until, because I don't know how it affects what I'm doing in this story or not. So, but now I'm stuck in it, and that's it. I'm going to go back to the start. And my thing is always, if I get into something, I have to go back to where it began.
Yeah.
And work my way right through.
Yeah.
So I think I've got a lot to do, haven't I? Because what is like 50 odd years? Yeah.
Well, it depends how far back you want to go. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you got to go back to the reboot or right back.
Oh, I'll go right back. I'll go right back. Right,
I'll speak to you in a couple of years, though. We'll see how that's going.
Yeah.
I'm on to Doctor 2. How did you find out? How did you find out about the role then? Because was it something that just because you're not an actor, are you? You like, what's your background originally?
So, long time ago, I got a degree in animation.
Okay.
I went to university in Newport, South Wales. Got a degree in animation. Left uni, moved to Cardiff, where a lot of film stuff was happening at the time. Had a little film business going. Things were going not too bad. Things didn't then go too good. Started doing door work as a kind of cash in my pocket kind of job.
Yeah.
Just to keep things going. Door work turned into security work. Security and door work turned into me wanting to find something a little bit more rewarding. And I was finding that I was spending a lot of time with, when you work security or those kind of jobs, you end up running into people who are repeat offenders and things like that.
Yeah.
I tend to like talking to people, so I was starting to realize there was a lot of people that just seem to be getting themselves in a rut, can't get out of it, and gone the wrong way, and that's not necessarily always their fault. There's an advert in the back of the paper looking for prison officers, so I was like, that's a good job. Let's go and do that. So I became a prison officer, and I was a prison officer for 8.5 years. It was a difficult 8.5 years. Not gonna lie, it really had an adverse effect on me, and I just kind of decided, after the time I'd done, it wasn't really for me. I just didn't like the way it was working. So, but I wanted to do something rewarding. So I came out of the service. Spent like 12 months doing a couple of bits and pieces, and then this job came up working with young people as a housing manager. So I did that for a year, and then Live West, the company I work for, had another role coming up, which is tenancy sustainment team leader. So basically, tenancy sustainment is we work with all the general rented tenants who are in social housing in our houses who get into difficulties, and we try and help them through it.
Yeah.
So it's quite a rewarding task trying to get people, sort out their problems, help them with their bills, try and get them out of debt, all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of things we do. And even down to like, especially during the pandemic, when people weren't able to get shopping or sort out, things like that, we stepped in to help, and we had a big sort of lump in the charity fund that we could use, and we helped a lot of people through COVID. So I found that really rewarding. So I kind of stepped into, after the Chewbacca thing, I did tread the boards. I got offered a part as Lurch in the Addams Family, which was quite funny because I'm always backstage. I build sets and do stage management for local theatre companies, and I got asked to be Lurch, and I was like, "There's no singing, is there?" And he went, "No, there's no singing." He said, "There's a bit of singing." I said, "How much singing?" He went, "Just a little bit in the chorus at the end. Nothing major. You'll be all right." Okay. I did a script read through the first day, and I realized that I had the finale solo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've never sung. I've been in bands. I played bass and never sung in front of anybody, let alone 600 people in a theatre. So I had to basically learn how to sing, but I had to learn how to sing like Lurch, which is kind of a bit like a cross between like Typo Negative and the Muppets, if you can imagine that. It's kind of like in between that. You know, bit of goth metal, bit of, you know, the Count kind of thing. And so I did that, and then I thought that's me done. I ain't gonna get anything else. And then it was on Facebook. Creative Casting put a post on Facebook. They were looking for someone over 6'10".
Yeah.
And it was just like, someone tagged me in it, give it a go, sent him a message. Next thing you know, there's phone calls, there's messages, me sending videos. We'll get back to you. You've got to say yes to this part. Okay, what is it? We can't tell you till you say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. You're going to be passenger in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Great. Don't know what a passenger is. Haven't got a Scooby. Let's just do it anyway. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, that's how it happened. It was just just right place, right time. You know.
Yeah.
Really glad it happened. Really glad it happened.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a film student at Hull University, and I'm noticing a lot of, I get a lot of work or a lot of like opportunities come in through stuff on Facebook and Facebook groups. So it's quite nice to know that, you know, like things can quite easily lead to Doctor Who.
yeah. I mean, Creative Casting seems to like cater for a wide market of productions in South Wales. And there's a lot happening in South Wales at the moment. You know, they're trying to keep it quiet, but they really haven't. They're filming Willow, the new TV series in South Wales. They tried to keep it quiet for a bit. It didn't work.
No.
Obviously, they filmed Sex Education in Wales. They actually filmed Sex Education in the building that used to be my university. So I find that quite funny to watch, because I'm watching it going, that's not a cafeteria. That was a textiles room.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's lots of stuff. So Creative Casting, like, they do lots of like shows that they're involved in, and they always put their posts up on their Facebook page, like, you know, they're looking for whatever. It'll be this for Casualty. They've just done loads of extras work and featured roles for the new Tom Hardy movie that's coming out, Havoc. So there is stuff out there, and Facebook, and you know, Facebook seems to be one of the places where you can find stuff like that quite easily now.
Yeah.
It's quite accessible. So, and there's hundreds of people. There's hundreds of people on their books. But I suppose you just got to be the right fit for the right thing. Luckily, there's not many of me about. So I'm, you know, but yeah, I won't get the normal run of the mill jobs, I don't reckon. But you know, the big scary bloke ones, I'll probably be around.
Yeah. You mentioned it earlier when talking about Mandiff, you know, people wouldn't recognize him with the mask on. How was filming with, like, in COVID? How was that? Was you aware of any like changes to stories? Was you aware of anything that had to be adapted because of because I know that the series was reduced to 6 episodes because of COVID, and a lot of people kind of saying that should be the new normal now. People really seem to like the condensed sort of storytelling of the series, but was you aware of anything that was sort of changed around?
I know that at one point there was talk of it was meant to be 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Which had been reduced because of COVID. I wasn't aware it had been reduced to 6 until after I'd filmed the bit that you guys saw last night, which is me absorbing the Flux. You're all very welcome. I've saved the universe. I think they had to do a lot of changes because of COVID. There was a lot of, like, I know there was the bits and pieces talked about, oh, we can't do that because of this. And then obviously you've always got the fear that someone's going to actually get COVID, who's the main part of the cast of the crew. So then everything's got to stop. You know, it's not like you can replace Mandip or Jodie or, you know. So I was aware that things were changed because of COVID, but I don't think it necessarily had an effect on the story that was told. It might have just changed the way it was presented.
Okay.
You know, because there was bits that I know, and I'll never say because they'll chop me fingers. But there was bits I know that I filmed that weren't in the series.
Okay.
Now, from a storytelling point of view, I don't think they would have made a lot of difference. You know, I don't think it added to what you guys have seen. But I think that's just part of the process. I mean, it's from what I was talking to the crew, it's quite regular. They'll film stuff that never sees the light of day.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that just changed it. They filmed it, they looked at it and gone, yeah, it might have worked on paper, but it doesn't work on the screen. So we'll get rid of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was but yeah, there were some changes I was aware of, and when they kept the Liverpool shoot was one of the biggest things because they knew they had to go to Liverpool to make the story work for Dan.
Yeah.
But they were still in restrictions, and then as soon as restrictions lifted, all of a sudden it was like, right, we're going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Oh, we got to go up. So you got to get there for this day, and then you're going to be shooting this night, and then so I did a full day at work, jumped in the car, drove to Liverpool, stayed in a hotel, woke up the next day, was there in Liverpool all day, and actually ended up doing my normal day job in the hotel, waiting for my shoot in the evening. Went and did my shoot in the evening, and then the next morning got up and then travelled home. And then went back to work. Yeah. And
It's
it
quite
was just like,
hectic.
that was my week. Yeah, it was hectic, but it was definitely worth it. I mean, at the time, I probably would have told you otherwise. I was really tired some weeks because I've been like, you'd have to go and have a COVID test and then come back, and then I was doing a full-time job, and then there was occasional shoots at night, or I've got to go for a costume fit, and it was just like weeks got bigger and longer, and but it worked out in the end. It was all good.
How was sort of is it quite restricting being in the passenger costume then? But like I imagine you're like quite limited. You can't, because passenger doesn't talk and we don't see your face. So a lot of the emotions we get through him, though they are limited, are they're empowering, but they're just physical really. There's no verbal.
And passengers role, from what I got sold, it changed from me taking the role to me getting the set.
Okay.
So originally, and there's still some elements to it. He was sold to me as he's a thug, he's a protector, he looks after these other two. He's like, if they're the brains, he's the muscle kind of job. And then I got to set the first day, and it was quite obvious that there was more to Passenger than that, because Passenger was like there for whatever was going on with the Maury. And then by the time I went and filmed the parts for episode 3, it became really more apparent that Passenger wasn't a person. He's not a guy that they've been mates with and had a gang with. He's this form. Yeah. So I and I think the directors took that on board as well, that there's not a lot of movement anyway, luckily. Yeah. Because my visual impairment in that mask is pretty severe. So it was more about like, it's just being present. And I think there's something slightly more sinister about. I kind of went for because Pyramids from Mars is one of my favorite Doctor Who stories. I kind of went for the standing still and not moving looks more sinister than flailing my arms about. And little gestures was like slightly more. I would have thought made more sense than like the bits where Passenger opens up and these energy bursts. Yeah. Instead of like flinging my arms out, it was more of kind of do a jiggle, as I called it. But it was more about like, so it was, the costume wasn't restrictive. The jacket was made custom for me. It's really nice. I wanted to keep it for me for weddings and stuff like that, but they wouldn't let me. That was all. That was just a normal jacket. I just had a t-shirt on underneath, the trousers, the shoes, but it was the hood and the helmet thing. So like the only way to describe it is it's got like a collar that comes right up here underneath your nose and zips right to the back of your head, and then you got the mask on, which has got like 6 rubber straps clinging to your head like that, and then you got this hood which velcros in around the mask and has wires to pull it down. So your entire head is encased in like fabric and plastic. It wasn't that I couldn't breathe in there, but you're breathing and it gets quite hot. So that was the restrictive thing. It was like, it's quite uncomfortable. It like I've said before, in Liverpool it was fine. Liverpool was great because it was freezing. So I was quite toasty warm inside that thing. But on set it was a bit more like, you know, and a bit sweaty. They had to put some blue roll around my head. Yeah. So it didn't always look attractive underneath. I'd have like bits of tissue stuck on me when I came out and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think I was ever in it for any longer than like 10, 15 minutes. I think that was like the max. Yeah. So that was a bonus. But
Was you able
It's a
to keep
small
it?
price to pay.
Yeah. Was you able to get your hands on anything, any little keepsakes from the set, or?
I wish. There's so many goodies around. So many goodies. I got to hold one of the sonic screwdrivers.
Oh, very
So
nice.
that was kind of cool, and it was unbelievable how heavy they are. I
Are
mean,
they?
Jodie's are really heavy. Yeah, really heavy. I mean, I was quite shocked. I thought it'd be like a little lightweight plastic
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's proper metal with a motor inside it, and
Oh, wow.
I got my hands on Jacob Anderson's gun as well for a bit, as well for Vinder's gun, and I was like, oh, that's quite weighty. And he's like, is that like a real weight for a gun? I was like, yeah, from memory that feels about right, because
Yeah.
I've shot a couple in my time, and that's pretty hefty. But no, I didn't get over it. A bit rude, isn't it? Really, nicking something. I mean, it would have been great to like take something away and go.
Yeah.
I know some of the crew apparently took home pieces of the TARDIS the other week.
I have heard this. Yeah, we spoke about it. Yeah. I mean, if you got the chance, you would. You totally would, wouldn't you?
Oh, totally would. And it's just a couple of them have like, because I follow a few through different social medias. A couple of them have posted like pictures like, where do I hang this? Like a piece of the honeycomb stuff, and it's like, oh, I wish I'd been there for that day. That would have
Yeah.
been cool. But no, but it's all well under wraps as well. Their props master, he knows his stuff. He knows where everything is. So you ain't
Good.
getting away with nothing. Trust me. No way. No way.
We spoke about it just briefly. Like, passenger sort of saves the day at the end, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, wish they told me. No one told me that. That was so. I kind of only ever knew what I was filming on the day. It was only ever like, I'd get a couple of sides, which are the smallest printed scripts I think you've ever seen. I mean, like, they're like A5 and they're just tiny. And it was always like passenger stands here.
Yeah.
Passenger does this. Right. Passenger walks across the room. Right. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. And then there was this one that was like, passenger is floating in space. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went to film this shot, and so the day I filmed the first passenger part was when it was just me, Jodie, and the TARDIS.
Mm.
And that's when Jodie does the bit where she comes out and talks to passengers, like, you're just left here, you've got waiting for an order that's never going to happen. And it sounds quite daft, but I was quite intimidating because it's just a green screen, the TARDIS, Jodie, and me.
Mm.
And Jodie was like really close to me, walking around, just basically like doing her lines. But I couldn't move, I couldn't react, I couldn't nothing. I just had to stand there, and that's quite hard when someone's like, basically, you're useless. You are,
Yeah.
big lump of form. So it was kind of like, oh god, this is odd. And then we've done that bit, and then they moved everything out, and it was like, right, passengers got to float in space. So they did this bit of me. They did a load of shots of me just on my own for other things, and then they did the one where I was floating, and I was basically on like this bench thing, sort of like sat on it, but just sort of like rocking with my arms and stuff in the air. And we did about 5 or 6 of them, and they were like, great, fantastic, brilliant. And then they did my golden wrap, and they were like, that's it. Thanks very much. That's Johnny's last scene. Way, big clap. Crew all get excited. Everyone says congratulations, well done, and it's quite a nice ending to what you've done. I thought, oh well, that's it then. About 4 weeks later, I get a phone call. Need you back. What? Why? We've got to do some more of that end. I was like, oh, okay. So I turned up and I said, what am I shooting? Because there was no sides, there was nothing. It was just me in this trailer, and they said, all right, well, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you on wires. I was like, okay. I'm 7'2", but I am terrible with heights. Right? I don't like heights. I don't like getting on step ladders or tables and stuff. I'm not so bad in planes, solid surfaces high up, like rock faces. I'm fine. But if it's got a little bit of a wobble,
yeah, man,
I'm done. And so the rigging guys come in like, right, we're going to put you in this harness, and they put me in this webbing harness underneath my trousers, which is the only way to describe it is it's giant webbing nappy, which cuts in all the wrong places,
Yeah.
and it's strapped so tight. I mean, like I thought my hips were going to crush. And then they basically sewed the trousers back onto me, and then put the jacket on me and made the holes for the ropes, and then went out into the set and we were like, right, what we're gonna do is we've got to counterweight and we're gonna hook you up and then we're gonna pull you down. And I went, oh, okay. How many people you got to pull me down? And he went, why? So I'm 27 stone. I'm just afraid them two lads ain't gonna be able to do it on their own. He went, no, it's all right. So we counterweighted it. It's all right. And we did a couple of test runs where they just like hiked me up in the air, and it was the weirdest feeling because it's just like all around your middle, and it just feels odd. Anyway, so we did a take, and basically they made me do the whole, but like 8 foot up. But might not have been 8 foot up, but it felt like I was 8 foot up.
Yeah.
I'm doing the whole bit, and then but the way they described to me was, I said, what's passenger doing? They went, he's in space, he's floating there, and he's going to do the energy burst out of his chest again. And I went, oh, okay, so that's what I did, because that's what I'd done on all the other shots. They got the shot they wanted. They hoisted me down. I got another golden round of applause. Well done. That's Johnny's last day on set again. Take 2. And and off I went. So all I thought the ending for me was going to be in Flux was me destroying something with my, prison energy. I didn't know I was going to suck in the flux.
Yeah.
That was totally new. And last night we were sat watching it, the family, and everyone was sat there, and then everyone went, "You've saved the universe." I was like, "Did I?" Okay. And then the other bit that got me was, hang on, they've just left me floating in space. They haven't pulled me back in the TARDIS. They haven't given me a pat. I was just hovering there. As the screen wipe went, like what happened to Passenger? They've just left him out in the void. So didn't know I was doing that. I'm kind of proud of the fact that I got picked to do that, but didn't see it coming. Yeah.
No, cool. I saw a lot online where it was like the possibilities of what they opened up with that character. There's definitely, I hope, fingers crossed, that there's room for other passengers, different entities of him to hopefully we'll see him again.
I'd like to think that he's gonna a passenger form is gonna reappear at some point.
Yeah.
They were talking last night on the Twitter live thing on the Twitter space about accessorizing passengers for your own, So like people started posting pictures last night of accessorized passengers. It was like, oh my god, it's going to get ridiculous. Luckily, it didn't get much further than a couple of pictures. But I think there's space for another passenger form and who at some point.
Yeah.
Other things have reoccurred that so maybe, who knows? I did tell them I'd go back and do whatever they wanted. And that, whether that's a passenger or some gunk covered creature or whatever, I'll go back and give anything a shot. So
awesome.
We'll see what happens.
So there you have it, guys. That's my interview with Jonny Mathers. What an absolute legend. Thank you so much, Jonny, for joining me on the show. Massively appreciated it. You gave me far too much of your time. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you've liked what you've heard today, please do subscribe. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm telling you now that when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we have an amazing opportunity for so many Doctor Who fans. You are going to love it. You are going to want to be involved in it, I promise you. It's such a shame that I am involved with this, otherwise I would be entering. So stick around, subscribe, go and watch some other videos, make yourself at home, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.